So my name is Daniel, and I'm from Shanghai. I was not born in Shanghai, but I came to Shanghai in 90s, yes. And then what I do, I'm running 3 coffee shops, and I have had my first coffee shop for 7 years now. And how was my last 2 months? For the first 10 days, it was very quiet, but I enjoyed it because I'm into quiet, and I run 3 coffee shop. So when they said lockdown, I was very happy. Finally, I can have a break. Finally. And then, for the first 10 days, I was very quiet. I enjoyed it. I did some music, I had to catch up with my homework with my choir, I had to do my bass line. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I started to read some books, once I knew they were going to do some lockdowns, finally I had the time to do it. And after 10 days, I realized that there are a lot of people asking for help, also for myself. I need some coffee. Because I live just not even 5 minutes from here. So I just sneaked out in the evening and tried to grab some coffee and try to send it to my friends. And I realized there are actually many people looking for food. I did not know that because I don't have WeChat moments. I turned it off, so I can't really see what's going on in this world. I know, but not to the, not from my WeChat's friends zone, I don't get information from there. So, and then after 10 days, I started doing deliver food to my friends, and we had some leftovers. So I started sending cakes to friends and started sending mugs and flowers to friends. I suddenly got really busy. Yeah.
That was probably also really good for your business because like Shanghai is very famous now for high-end coffee culture and the coffee beans don't last for 2 months, right? So you could still do something with it.
Yeah, that's the first thing I had in my mind after 10 days. At first I needed the coffee bean, and I wanted, there was friends asking me, do you still have some coffee beans, because I run coffee shops, do you have flowers and everything? And I said, yes, I can try to sneak out. Because I'm very lucky, I live by the street, so I don't belong to any compound. So yeah, that's at the gate, at the outdoor, there's a front gate there blocked, with those things. But I could always sneak out. So.
It's very special in Shanghai. Everybody else lives in a compound.
Right?
Yeah. So in the early days, what were the streets here like? What did you see?
On the second day, I actually sneak out for a walk. I feel I was the only person on the street, apart from street cleaning people. Like suddenly, there was one question actually came into my mind: is this freedom, or would you live on this planet if it's just by yourself? And I said like no. So I started to say maybe I should do something. That's when I came to the idea I should reach out to my friends, do you need help, blah, 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 things like that. And I started, sending them coffee beans, mugs, and everything. And I realized, and after that, I got the permission to apply for food supply after a few days. And then I just started doing all the food supply. And for the last, so basically from the 15th of April or 20th of April to the end of May, I work 15 hours per day because only 10% of my staff could come out to work with me, and the demand for food was massive, so we couldn't really match the demand because there was only like 6 or 10, not even 10, 6 of us, something like that.
So did your staff sleep here, or how did they come to work?
I have a staff house over there.
Ah, okay.
I did not plan for the pandemic, but they have a staff house over there, just like across the street. So I told them to stay, but in the evening you have your own legs. You can, and also it's not good for the hygiene, to sleep here and to serve. I did not really apply to the rule that strictly, but yeah.
Yeah, I asked because I seen a lot of people sleep in restaurants and in shops on the floors when they were delivering. And also I saw a lot of delivery people have a really hard time to sleep in tents on the street. Did you talk to them? Did you interact with them?
Yes, in the evening, I used to cycle around after my job. I did not want to go back, so I actually had a chance to go to the Suzhou Creek and saw so many tents under there and so many people sleeping there. And then once I really approached a delivery guy, I was like, "How much do you make?" And he was very happy to tell me, "Oh, come on! For the first 10 days, I made like 10 times more than what I usually do because the demand, and on the on the delivery app, you can actually do tips, right? So for the first 10 days, rich people always tip them a lot to get food. Yeah. So, and then uh, I think there's one time the government starts saying put all the zones into 3 tiers, right? Tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. And that's when there's more delivery guy come out and the price suddenly goes down. And it's also for my business. For the first 10 days, delivery fee for us was like unbearable. But after that, it was actually, it's getting better. I couldn't say it was back to normal, but it was better.
How did your feelings about the lockdown change? In the beginning, we were told it's 4 days, and then how did you feel after 1 month, after 2 months?
To be honest, I'm very isolated from all the information on the internet and everything. So for me, I planned just for 5 days. Yes. So, but I'm very lucky, I have a coffee shop, I have food here. So there was nothing problem with the food or any lockdown. And I also live by street. So I think I'm very privileged in that sense. I'm not locked at all. I could always go out. I could always do something to help my friends. Yeah. So the lockdown did not really apply to me in the sense to my business and to my own freedom. But in the sense that to others, I think it was a very hard time for people who has to go to office to work, or for people who have to, make a living by working outdoors. I think that's very hard for them, and especially for expats. Yeah. And one of the reasons I really tried to came out to help my friends was because our contractor for the choir, he's from Denmark, and that he really reached out. He hardly asked for help in Scandinavia, and then suddenly one day he reached out to Daniel, do you have some coffee beans in it? And I realized, wow, it's actually really big problem. I thought it was in the news. They always do exaggerations, and then I realized it's actually quite severe problem. So I sneak out and do the things I told you. Yeah.
But you meet in your line of work, you meet a lot of people, a lot of expats, a lot of Chinese people who are not from Shanghai. Maybe. Do you think a lot of people are leaving, or do you think most people are staying? How's this going to change?
Well, I actually quite like that. I think people will always, no matter. I think this pandemic might, speed forward for some people who already had that in their mind for expat, they want to leave. But I don't think that's the only reason they want to leave. Yeah, and in the sense that whether they leave will make Shanghai less exciting for me. No, I think when people leave, there will be new people coming. That for me, that's actually more interesting. Yeah. So come back to your question, whether am I worried or do you think that a lot of people leave? I think yes, but as long as there's more opportunity in Shanghai, as long as there are opportunity in Shanghai, I think people will come back, no matter who. Yeah.
Do you feel confident about the next 6 months? Like, oh yes, Shanghai will bounce back, or do you think it will be tough? Or
in that sense, no, I'm not confident about just next 6 months. I think that this will be a long-term thing, but I'm not worried in the sense that this will go on forever. I think this situation might get him better eventually, because I realized it was actually an ideology rather than zero COVID, So I think I felt that the government has really realized this COVID zero things cannot go on, but they have to find a way to to make it look better. That the decision was not that bad, but it's not my business, to be honest, because. Okay, I have a very small story because I live in one of the buildings next to the streets. So I live with my parents. We're in the same building, but also there's some like local Shanghainese, like really old generation. I think they are from the 40s. And one day I had a little chat with them in the morning, and that old lady told me, she said, "Why can't those people like you or like a young generation? Why can't they just stay at home and watch television, you know? Yeah, this lockdown, this is so comfy. You know, the governments deliver food to you and everything. Why can't you just, stay and be quiet and let the whole COVID zero things, pass by?" And yeah, I think she represents one of those people from the 50s or 40s. They've been through Cultural Revolution and the Great Leap Forward, things like that. So for them, this is not that hard. But from what I spoke with her, I realized that she represents a voice as well. And that's why the government sometimes make decisions to help them to represent their voice. And there is a voice like this still in this country. Good or bad, I can't say because they've been through harder times than us. But what I've realized is this kind of their voice in a normal day, their voice are not heard, almost unheard. So maybe the government trying to make their voice heard. We don't have the figures.
Do you think they're happy now?
Do
you think they are happy now?
Happy today or during the lockdown?
Satisfied. I mean, look, the lockdown was made to keep people safe, to keep people alive, to keep people healthy. But a lot of younger people, our generation, middle-aged people like me, they had a hard time because of money and those kind of things. So a lot of them are not happy. But the question is, do you think that older people in general are happier about the lockdown?
I think the lady I spoke with, she represents a part of her generation. I'm pretty sure that there were other voices in her generation as well. But I also think she was not the only one who believes it's actually a good timing for her. She could say, normally she would not buy milk because for her that's a luxury. But if you got delivered free milk, free chicken, she's happy. But are they happy? I spoke with her, she was happy. I can't speak for others. Yeah.
A lot of us couldn't do the hobbies and the things we normally like to do. We had to find other things. You told me you like to sing in choirs. Why don't you tell me a bit about how that has changed during the lockdown?
We were doing online choir practices, but I was not involved because I was working 15 hours a day. But we from offline to online. Yeah, they were still. I think that's something still keep the choir going, and yeah, they were happy. Other than, I think music is something has that kind of power to generate a kind of happiness within humans, I think.
You must have been really looking forward to seeing them all again.
Sure, we're actually singing some songs today offline in this coffee shop. Yeah. I might plan to open my coffee shop in Europe, not because I want to run away, because I want to choose a lifestyle where I can work like with mobility. I don't want just working in one city. And for my age, I think it's right time. Yeah. And I think after pandemic, not just China, not just the lockdown in Shanghai, people need some new stuff. I think it's on our hand to create that new future, to see if that's something interesting after pandemic. Like instead of complaining about what happened or what went wrong, I think I'm more of the people to do something what we can do in the future to change. And if you don't like the place, instead of complaining, why not make it the way you want? I think that's always sticked in my mind. I'm not complaining for those who couldn't, because I think not many people has privilege like me. I set my business 7 years ago already, right? But yeah, less complaining and more action.
Have you ever lived in a different country before? It would be the first time.
Oh yeah, I lived in England for 8 years and Spain for a year.
Okay, so then it's not that big of a change for you. It's you know what you're getting into.
Yes, and I was also think it's a good thing, because there is kind of a stereotype of Chinese restaurant and a Chinese businessman who's going abroad, you know, the Huawei, the tech, or the very old traditional Chinese restaurant. I think I represent a very different one, the niche market. Not that traditional with the dragons doing sweet sour chicken, but I'm not that cutting edge, you know, who could do the tech thing either. Yeah, I think I'm trying to make this food and beverage business a little bit more interesting. Not, I don't have the duty to represent my China, but I'm Chinese, so I think they will talk about it if I do it well.
So this would be London, or where do you want to go?
Prague.
Prague?
Yeah.
How did you choose Prague?
Because it's not. How do you say that in English? The risk is less. You know, in London, the rent and everything is very high. If I fail, it's big fail. And the Prague for me is the price and everything, the labor and everything. I think that suits what I have now. How do you say that?
I think you said it perfectly.
Okay.
I think that's totally clear.
Yeah.
When you talk to your friends who are not in Shanghai, do they have an accurate picture of what the lockdown was like, or do you have to explain to them? And how do you explain it?
Okay. Do they have a right picture? That's not my job. It depends on what you read. If you read your BBC and if you read from your friend's picture, or if you read from Instagram, they're all different. That's not my job. And what was your second question? Sorry.
Well, if you have to explain to somebody who's not in Shanghai what the lockdown was like, what do you normally say?
Never generalize things. There are people like me that never got locked down. There are people who died in lockdown, and some old people who died in the lockdown, and they only be found after 2 or 3 weeks. You know, I think never look things just. It's very. Okay, it's a massive country, and it's a massive city. If you try to have a general image, you have to do a lot of research and everything. Yeah, don't generalize. It's not that. You will trick yourself.
How's your outlook now? How's your mood?
I'm always have a very stable mood, but I think in my experience in the UK and Spain, 1 year in Spain really helped me about different culture approach to same thing from different perspective. So when I said sneak out, it's because I know I could do that in China. They really care if you are positive or not. They don't really care if you are locked. But it's their job, to keep you locked, just in case they don't want to lose their job. Yeah. So I think my study abroad experience really helped me to understand, how far you can tackle one problem. Even I lived in a compound, I tried to sneak out any way I could. Maybe become a volunteer, and then I could sneak out. Always try to. If I'm not positive, I will always do the things I believe is right. Yeah, I think that's my point.
That's very noble. I very much respect that. What else do you think people should know about the last 2 months?
like what I said about that old lady, there's part of the voice that's not represented in our daily life on a normal day because of the consumerism. It's all about people spending money. There are poor people who are not represented. I think that's one thing people should go and make more, pay more attention about them. They represent a group of people, whether they are right or not. On a normal day, they stay in the park because it's free. They dance with other people from their generation. They sit there, play their phone, or just sit there because they need some fresh air. I think we need to pay more attention to them. Yeah.
Completely understand. Well, thank you very much for giving me the time. This was really, really interesting, and I'm very happy that your business is doing well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.